In the 2000 presidential campaign, John McCain's openness to reporters and their access to him underscored the image McCain wanted to advance. A straight-talking, honest maverick, unscripted, unafraid, uninterested in having consultants micromanage his statements. In our fourth story tonight, what then does that say about McCain today? That, as one Florida reporter learned firsthand, his access and openness are gone. We already saw a menacing librarian banished from McCainville for daring to suggest McCain equals Bush. Apparently that's an insult, with McCain now relying on former Bush aides, including some whose work McCain himself used to hold in disdain. Bush tactics have emerged in McCain's media handling. Former Bush communications director Nicole Wallace, captured on tape last month, tried to dictate the camera angle St. Louis stations could use for their interviews with McCain. McCain has also at times closed off his once open town halls, making them Bush-style, invitation-only, confrontation-free. Add now McCain's rally in Panama City, Florida last Friday. At the media area outside, a member of McCain's security detail approached Stephen Price, senior writer for the Tallahassee Democrat. That's the newspaper's name, not a political statement. Price showed his credentials for the event, but was asked to leave anyway. When another reporter asked why, she too got kicked out. McCain's advance man, Jonathan Block, later said Mr. Price was in the section for national reporters. Other local reporters, however, were not removed. Your reporter was in the wrong place, Block said to the paper. I do not know why the other reporters were not moved. I can tell you without a shadow of a doubt that race had nothing to do with it. Let's bring in that reporter, Stephen Price, senior writer for the Tallahassee Democrat, right now. Mr. Price, thanks for your time tonight.
Sure.
The advance man said you might have been singled out due to the visibility of your ID. For instance, your paper's executive editor said you were the only black reporter in the area. He was implying that race might have been a factor. Do you think that's a possibility, and could you explain why or why not?
Sure. I mean, it was pretty odd that I'm the only black reporter. All of the other reporters were white, they were local, but I was told because I was not national that I had to be removed. So, I mean, it didn't make sense to me, and that the fact that I'm black was the only obvious reason.
We asked the McCain campaign staff to try to explain your removal. They didn't even bother to reply. Was there any build up to this? Did somebody just walk up and tap you on the shoulder and say, get out?
Right. Well, just about. The only way I was allowed access to this area was by showing my press credentials. And after that, I was standing in front of McCain's bus, and a few minutes later, a gentleman in a brown suit came and asked me what I'm doing here. I showed him my credentials. He says, well, this is only for national. He asked me, are you national? I said, no, I'm state. And then by that time, another reporter comes over to me. A Panama City police officer comes to me with his gun, with his hand on his holster, asking me what's going on, and this thing starts gaining momentum pretty quick. And so I'm trying to show him my credentials, and the other reporter says, well, we're all state reporters. As a matter of fact, we couldn't find any other national reporters in the area at the time, and it didn't matter to this guy. And so he said I had to go, and the other reporter spoke up. He said, well, she has to go too. And so we all had to leave. And my friend, the writer from the Palm Beach Post, said, well, Stephen, you're guilty of being black while reporting. And even after that, none of the other state reporters were asked to leave.
And in this area that was supposedly only for national reporters, there were only local reporters, including yourself? There weren't any national reporters to begin with?
Well, none that I saw. We were all local state. You know, we all cover Florida. We all cover Florida politics. So this guy had to know that we all weren't national because the national reporters have their own bus. So he had to be familiar with them. So if he didn't recognize me, well, he surely couldn't recognize the other reporters there also. And once that was pointed out to him, he still didn't make any charge against any other reporter.
Anybody have any grudge against you or complaint against you or your work or your paper or anything from the McCain campaign?
No, none that I know of. I did a story that ran Saturday. I haven't heard any complaints from that.
It certainly is a different scene than it was 8 years ago. Stephen Price, senior writer from the Tallahassee Democrat newspaper. Good luck on the rest of your coverage, and great thanks for your time tonight.
Sure.